Hi, everyone. Welcome. I am so excited to welcome you to Menopause Mavens community, where I will be your guide to your menopausal journey by focusing on gut health and body-mind stress management. Let me introduce myself. My name is Lisa Metzger, and I have a PhD in holistic nutrition, and I've been in holistic health since 1996. I was also a blogger for a company called Epicor, which is a prebiotic. We'll talk about that in a little bit, about what a prebiotic is. But it got me interested in gut health and what that can do basically to all our health. Hippocrates said that all health starts in the gut, and he was definitely right. And it is especially true as we go through menopause as well. So we're going to talk about some ideas on how to balance our gut health and move forward with our menopause into a little more easy transition into this time in our life. I'm also a mom, and it's always been very important to me that I be a good example for my daughters. So I've always tried to be that good example with my health, my nutrition, just balance in life, stress management, and all of that. So she is definitely one of my inspirations, and I want to show her what it's like to live a healthy and balanced life. And then I am also a menopausal woman. I am on my own journey with menopause. And through that, I have become to understand more about how our gut is tied into that transition in our lives. So I'm excited to guide you along this journey along with myself. And I hope that we have a lot of fun along the way and we can support one another on that journey. So in this month, we're going to focus on how our gut affects our estrogen as we enter into menopause and the first steps to help balance the gut. So we're going to focus on those first steps and what I like to focus on first. You will see that the gut health is so important for all aspects of our life. Like I said, Hippocrates said that all health starts in the gut. And yes, that is true. And so balance is key for a smoother transition into this phase of our lives. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So first I'm going to go into what exactly is the microbiome. This is the microbes that live, microorganisms that live in and on our bodies and that regulate almost every single function in our bodies. So there is a subset called the estrobolome that is responsible for metabolizing estrogen. That is their number one primary focus. And as we get older, unfortunately, our guts get out of balance. Our microbes get out of balance. We have a combination of good bacteria and bad bacteria, and the good bacteria can tend to wane a little bit. And we'll go into why that happens in the next slide. But those get out of balance, and some of the bad bacteria can kind of take over and wreak havoc in our body. This includes the estrobolome. It can start to wane as we get older. So when our estrogen starts to decline in menopause and your estrobolome is not functioning as optimally as it could, then our estrogen isn't being metabolized. It goes floating around in our body and it ends up getting stored. The body wants to store it somewhere. It's not great to have it free floating in our body. This estrogen that's free floating in our body, this is why women our age tend to get more incidence of breast cancer, because it's not being metabolized properly. And now this estrogen can wreak havoc in our body. So it ends up getting stored in our tissues and fat cells, especially, guess where? The midsection, right where we're seeing all of a sudden, it seems like overnight, we start to gain this weight. This also leads to cortisol increase. We've all heard that cortisol is bad. Stress increases cortisol in our body. That's why we're going to also focus on stress reduction. But this increase in cortisol also leads to abdominal fat gain. So especially in that midsection. So this estrogen that's not being metabolized results in what's called estrogen dominance. I know it sounds counterintuitive that our estrogen is supposed to be declining at this age. It's true, it does, but we don't get rid of all of our estrogen. It just doesn't go away. We still have a cycle of estrogen in our bodies. But the free floating, if it's not being metabolized properly, then we end up in estrogen dominance. And this is what causes all of our menopausal symptoms. So the decline in estrogen and the decline in the estrobolome results in this estrogen dominance. Some doctors will see the benefit of giving estrogen hormone replacement therapy. The more estrogen you have in your body, the better it gets metabolized. So some women, it's necessary to get the estrogen hormone replacement therapy. I don't think it's necessary for all women to do this. If you focus on your gut health and bolster that microbiome and the estrobolome, then you won't have to take additional estrogen, if that makes sense. Now, as a little disclaimer, I am not a medical doctor. I do not advocate or diagnose or prescribe any kind of therapies. I am only here to guide you in gut health education and stress reduction education. So I highly recommend before you do anything, and if you have a question about your hormone balance, please see your doctor. I don't know anything really about hormone replacement therapies. I'm not going to say that, you know, they're good or bad. So just make sure that you're talking with your doctor and getting your regular checkups anyway, as far as your hormone health. It's so important, especially, you know, like I said, if we have that estrogen in our bodies that's not being processed properly, you can have greater incidence of breast cancer and all those female cancers. So make sure, please, that you're talking with your doctor. So get that out of the way here. So as you can see, it's kind of a vicious cycle that we go through, and we'll talk about how to combat that. So what causes gut imbalances in the first place? It happens actually from birth. If you don't come down the birth canal, like my daughter was born C-section, she didn't get that implant of my microbiome into her intestines as she was coming down that birth canal. Because that's one place where there's a great community of microbes that help a baby to establish their first influx of gut bacteria. Our nutrition, as we go through our lives, if you eat too much sugar, processed foods, fad diets can kind of destroy our balance. Drinking too much alcohol, smoking cigarettes, all those lifestyle things can affect our gut health and the balance. Stress is huge with destroying our gut balance. When we have too much cortisol and we just don't respond to stress the same way, when our guts are out of balance, it can cause other symptoms like anxiety and depression. You know, all those are tied to our gut. Our guts and our brains are linked. And if we don't have that good balance in our guts, it can also affect how we feel mentally and physically and emotionally. Our environment can affect our gut imbalance. If you have a lot of toxins in your environment, you know, the cosmetics and lotions and household cleaners that we use, medications that we've been on, especially antibiotics. If you've been on just one course of antibiotics in your life, it's already affected that balance. But the good news is that our guts are really responsive to what we do. Our microbes are very responsive to what we do, and we can help correct those imbalances if you have those imbalances. So what are some of the signs of imbalance, especially during menopause? Here's just a few symptoms of digestive issues, that menopause belly, that bloating that you feel, hot flashes and night sweats, insomnia, anxiety and depression, brain fog. All of these things are related to our gut and how we are processing that estrogen. So how do we improve our gut health? So the first thing we need to do is we need to feed that microbiome. Our microbiomes they help us with digestion. They field all the food that comes into our body is processed by our gut microbes, and then it's dispersed where it needs to go. So if you're feeding that gut microbiome beneficial food that it can thrive on, then you're going to help balance your gut. If you're feeding your body with things like processed foods that disrupt our guts and let bad bacteria thrive, a lot of sugar lets bad bacteria. You're feeding bad bacteria when you're eating a lot of sugar. So what you feed your microbiome is so, so important. So how do we do that? First thing is we need to eat our veggies. Veggies are super important. I know our moms told us eat your veggies, but it really is important for vitamins, minerals, enzymes, and feeding our gut microbiome. It contains fiber that feeds your good bacteria. So you want to eat all the colors of the rainbow. I like to eat big salads and stir fries that have a big variety of vegetables at one time. And it's more exciting that way too. If you're just eating boring, steamed broccoli every day, you're going to get tired of it. So variety is super, super important when you're feeding your gut microbiome, because different foods will feed different microbiome, the microbiome. So different microbes eat different things. For example, asparagus is really good to eat. Jerusalem artichoke has a lot of beneficial things for your microbiome. Onions, garlic, leeks. So a huge variety and all the colors of the rainbow. Now, if you can buy organic, that is best. If you can't buy everything organic, I have included in your resource section a list of what's called the Dirty Dozen fruits and vegetables that you should hopefully buy organic if you can. Those are the best. Frozen is also fine to buy, and I like the big variety packages of organic veggies that Costco sells. And frozen is totally fine. It feeds your microbiome just fine. So the second thing is to get cultured. So what do I mean by that? These are fermented foods or probiotic foods. And a good example of that is kimchi, sauerkraut, yogurt. Make sure that the yogurt you get doesn't have sugar included. Some of the commercial brands have a lot of sugar in it. And yeah, you might get some good culture of probiotics in there, but the sugar just feeds your bad bacteria. So it kind of defeats the whole purpose, right? Kefir drinks, kombucha, tempeh, which is a fermented soy product. You can pickle your own vegetables. You can brine them. It's really easy to do. You just look on YouTube and you can find out how to do that yourself. My husband likes to make pickled eggs, and all those things have those cultures in it. So make sure when you're getting your fermented foods from the store that you're buying in the refrigerated section, and they will be labeled containing live cultures, because the products that you get on the shelves are pasteurized and have no live cultures. So just keep that in mind. And then the third thing is supplements. I believe in a combination of food, fermented food, and supplements to get your full variety of probiotics into your body, and also prebiotics. So we didn't talk about prebiotics, but the vegetables that you were eating has fiber in it. That is a prebiotic. That fiber feeds your good bacteria in your gut and helps for your own gut bacteria to flourish. Everybody has a different footprint or like a fingerprint of microbes in their body. No two people have the same combination of microbes in your body. So it's not like you can just say, oh, I'm just going to take lactobacillus and that's going to fix everything. Lactobacillus is definitely a good keystone, what's called a keystone probiotic or bacteria that is beneficial for us. And when you take those keystone strains that these are the over-the-counter, probiotics. These are keystone strains that help to your own, whatever your combination of microbes are, to flourish. So eating one can help benefit another. So there's not just one that's better than another, in my view. It's good to just get a good variety of the prebiotic foods, the vegetables. You can take a prebiotic supplement. I used to be a blogger for a company called Epicor, and it was a fermented brewer's yeast product that was a prebiotic that fed your good bacteria. It also had some other immune functions in it as well. Epicor, I listed it in the resource section. You can just get that. Just look it up on VitaCost. Epicor is actually a company that sells to other vitamin companies, and they just put it in their products. So that you can look for that. As far as probiotics, look for those that have live cultures in it, lots and billions of live cultures. When you are getting a live culture, you want a lot of live units in there because a lot of them will get killed off in your stomach acid. And so you want to make sure that you get billions of live cultures so that, the probiotics can get down to where they need to be. The bacteria can get down into your intestine where they do the most good. The other type of probiotic that I really like is a spore-based probiotic. I've also listed those in your resource section. And the spore-based are great because they have a coating around it's a spore. And when you ingest it, it survives your stomach acid. So it gets down into the lower intestine where it needs to be, and then it blooms, it blossoms. And so you're getting more, you're going to see less cultures in the spore-based. It just means that you're getting it down into where it needs to bloom, and most of them survive. So you don't need as many as in the live probiotics, live culture probiotics, if that makes any sense. So it gets down in there, and those spore-based are really great for helping to really jumpstart your balance and getting an influx of those good bacteria into your gut so that your other bacteria can flourish as well. So again, eat your veggies, get cultured, eat the fermented foods, and get some supplements to help balance your gut health. That is the first place that you should start. There are ways to test. If you want to test, just contact me, email me, and I can guide you on how to test basically you're testing your poop. You send it in, or there's a test kit, and they can tell you how out of balance you are. I just assume that most people do have some kind of imbalance, especially if you're having menopause symptoms. It means your gut is somewhat out of balance. If you're getting that gut bloat, if you're getting the hot flashes, if you have anxiety, depression. We're going to talk next month about the mental aspects of our guts and how that relates to our moods and how we can deal with that. So look forward to that for next month. And so what are your next steps? I recommend that you go ahead and get a good probiotic. Download your recipes and your meditation guide. Use that meditation guide whenever you're feeling anxious, just a couple times a week. Once you get the routine down, you won't have to listen to the recording anymore. You can just kind of run through that exercise in your mind anytime you need it. It's only a 5-minute, meditation that you can implement into your, maybe start your day with it, or when you're feeling that stress. And then the recipes are great foods to help with hormonal balance. And then as I also said, there is a resource sheet also in your membership area for the pre and probiotics that I like, as well as the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 guide to your organic vegetables. And then I'd love to hear you share your journey in the Facebook group. So if you haven't already joined this Facebook group, please join and introduce yourself and share with us your journey. If you have struggles, go ahead and post those. We'll support you. I'll be giving guidance in there as well. So until next month, I hope you enjoyed this workshop this month, and we will catch you next month. Take care and be well.